Hello, I'm Alexander McCall Smith. I'm a writer. I live in Edinburgh in Scotland. I write all sorts of books. Many people will perhaps know the Number One Ladies Detective Agency series of books that are set in Botswana, but I have various series of books that are set in Scotland and elsewhere. Recently, in fact, my books have tended to include an Australian setting because I often come to Australia. It's one of my favourite countries in the world. I find myself very happy in Australia, and I've begun to use Australia as a setting for some of the novels. My novel, The Forever Girl, was partly set in Melbourne, and also my novel, Trains and Lovers, had an Australian element in it. The books vary. I also write books for younger readers. I've done a series of books about Precious Ramotswe, my Botswana heroine, in her younger years. Those are for younger readers about 8 or 9 years old, that sort of age. But I've embarked now on a new series of books which are intended for slightly older age group than that. The characters in this particular series, the Tobermory series, are about 12 or 13. Now, the Tobermory series, I suppose, has its origin in my enthusiasm for sailing. I'm a very keen sailor, and I love going off in boats and sailing around islands, of which we've got quite a number in the west of Scotland, where I keep a sailboat. Tobermory itself is the name of a beautiful little harbour on the Scottish island of Mull. And I love the name Tobermory. It's a very attractive place, and I decided that I'd use that as the name of the ship in my new series for younger readers. So I invented a school ship called the Tobermory, the School Ship Tobermory, and it's effectively a boarding school, and kids go on board and live there for the whole term while they sail around the world. A great idea which I think children find rather attractive, the notion of going off to a marine boarding school. They have ordinary lessons, they have the ordinary subjects, geography, history, etc., but at the same time they're learning how to sail the ship. I have peopled the series with characters good and bad. We've got two principal characters, who are Ben and Fee, who are twins, and they are new to the school ship. They're quite excited about it, and they make friends with two other students in the school, an American boy called Badger, who comes from New York, and an Australian girl called Poppy, who's a great character. And these four friends have all sorts of adventures. We've got a few villains. Obviously, every story must have a reasonable supply of villains, and we've got three very unpleasant boys in the school. There's William Edward Hardtack, his sidekick Geoffrey Shark, and Maximilian Flubber, and these three boys are the opposition, so to speak. The teachers are a splendid group of people. There's Matron, who happens to be a high diver, Olympic diver. She's married to the cook, who's a fairly tough character. Then there's the captain, Captain Macbeth, and one of the other senior teachers, Mr. Rigger, who's got a splendid moustache, which blows around in the wind and provides useful information as to the source of the wind. So it's great fun. And in this first volume, they go off and they end up in an adventure which involves the protection of threatened marine creatures. All the while they're having terrific adventures. There's a stowaway on the boat and that sort of thing. I so enjoyed writing it that I immediately started to write volume 2. This is going to be a series, so there'll be a book a year, and the books will take the school ship to various parts of the world. In volume 2, they're going to find themselves in the Caribbean, and in volume 3, they're going to be off the Queensland coast. So all sorts of adventures lie ahead in this series, and I very much hope that the readers who come to these books will end up being as enthusiastic about the sea and sailing as I happen to be myself.